All right, this was my studio. This 10 by 10 space was the extent of my studio before, and the whole studio tour video, which I hopefully have posted by now, up on the channel, it took place all in this space, and then this was storage and other multi-use stuff. Well, now this is going to be something else, but the other side of the wall, which is actually larger, is going to be the new studio, and it is 10 feet by 20 feet, and we've got a new wall here, so that, showing everything, all my stuff over here, so that I can have the entire length of the studio set up, and we can build out a proper recording desk, so that all I have to do is sit down, hit record, etc. I posted this image to Facebook a little while ago saying, I can't believe I just did this voluntarily. Well, that blew up, and 400 people liked and commented saying, that's insane, how dare you, or, yeah, I've done the same thing myself, you gotta do what you gotta do in a pinch. Well, good news, folks, those cables go this way, so they don't exist anymore. Here's why. So the reason this was like that is because that goes to a cable on the outside of the building that powers the front half of the building. Now, the second port on there, notice there's two ports, so one goes around the building that way, and the other one goes this way, to the other side of this wall over here. And the reason why that was important is because right now, that's where the rack is going. Now, there is another jack over there because that was a second desk, and I needed to get the signal, not the signal, I needed to get the network from that jack or from the other side of this wall to that jack so that it could go outside and around the house. I spent most of the day yesterday rewiring everything so that I did not have that weirdo, crappy, First of all, I needed to cut the cable anyway because there's a door there now. But second of all, you really don't want to leave something like that there, so generally not a good idea. So what I did in the end is I rerouted brand new direct in-ground burial cables around the rest of the building, around the side of the building, and brought them in through the ceiling and then down to the rack like they're supposed to be done, properly. All right, tomorrow, these are going to become walls. And the important thing that I realized at the last second, because I don't know what the hell I was thinking, is before you put the walls in, you really should put in a bunch of cables. So I started thinking, and I was running back through my plans, and yes, I had some cables already run, which I did plan to run behind this wall, but then I realized, well, maybe I want more cables throughout the studio for future-proofing's sake. And then I went a little crazy. So first it was one cable, then it was two cables. Oh, I might want one on that side. I might need one direct to my desk over here. Let's run 3 that way because test network, main network, and who knows what one day. So 3 cables went that way. And then I've got more stuff going on for this side to go out of the building and around to my outdoor test rack. So that was 3 cables, which I ran the other day. So those are going to be coming down and run once I'm ready to do that switch over. And so I ran one as a fish to be able to pull those back through. And then I realized, well, I really need a few extra cables going over there because one goes to the outdoor junction box, but then I've got 2 other cameras that are connected much closer that could be wired directly into the rack and not need to go to the outdoor junction box, which doesn't have as much battery backup as this does. And I'd rather have those cameras running from the rack, which has a tremendous amount of battery backup. So that ended up in this whole bundle of cables here. Now, I've got it all running through, what are these called? The Keystone cage box, whatever it's called here, so that we can run that directly through and mount onto the sheetrock, or the drywall sheetrock. Yeah, the sheetrock, which is about to go up probably tomorrow. And then, and also we're going to have insulation in the walls, which is specifically made for sound dampening. I'll put the link down below to the ones that I used, because right now the space is a little bit echoey. The goal is in the future, or the goal is when I'm done, to be able to have it so that it is much more deadened and absorbative so that you don't have to worry about the neighbor's gardeners or the garbage trucks going by or, fans running, planes, cars, etc. Because, again, this is a garage. So there are normal everyday noises from outside in the world. This is going to go a long way in helping to keep those out of my recordings. And because I'm in my home, even though it's a professional studio, and I am doing some home labbing, I'm wearing my TechnoTim Home Lab University shirt. If you like that, I'll leave a link to it down below. There's going to be a lot of links I have to remember to link down below by the time I'm done with this. But As you can see here, I ran the cables through the wall. These ones I did not, because this actually is going to be open behind it, so I was free to just run it directly behind and not have to make several holes and probably have rerun and make them larger and larger as I kept deciding to add more and more things. And generally, you don't want holes too big when you're going through your 2x4s because, you know, structural integrity and all that. Whew. But other than that, I think we're ready to go for tomorrow, and once the walls are in, then I can start moving my stuff around, get the rack in place over here, cut all of the cables over to the new setup, rewire the rack again, because I recently just did that, and get ready to move everything else in place and get set up. All right, moment of truth. I have just pulled a whole bundle of cables that were running to the other side of the room because that's where I originally thought I was going to put the rack, and then I realized, wait a minute, if my setup is going to be here, my set where I'm going to film all of my videos, the rack really needs to be behind it, not next to my desk. And so redesigned everything, ran a whole bunch of new cables while the walls were still open, which you should have seen by now, and left those cables running extra long across so that I'd be able to pull them through. I'll tell you, the scariest thing is running and pulling a live fiber cable. Now, granted, I had it bundled up with the other cables here, but now's the moment of truth. If I broke this, then I need to call Frontier for them to come out and fix it because I screwed it up. Now, I've already moved it once from that side of the studio where my office used to be to this side of the studio. Now the walls are up. Once again, we're going to plug it into the rack. Pay no attention to this. I moved it. I put it on a dolly and just moved the whole thing, so everything is all shooken up. Looks like crap. We're going to rebuild that. That'll be part of this new series. But I'm procrastinating, so let's have the moment of truth. I'm going to loop this up. This now comes down through, there's a closet over here, which I'll show you later, and I have a box in the hole here. Oh, it occurs to me I need the brush for that. This has a little brush cover that goes over it, and then I'm going to wrap up the fiber cable, and we're going to plug it in, and then we're going to be good to go. So I'm going to go get that, be right back. All right, I'm back. While I was out there, I got a care package from HP, so I'm going to be able to test out a bunch of those new items coming soon. I believe they're already released, so I can probably share what they are when I unbox them, but for now, it's the keyboard and headsets and stuff like that. So, all right, stop procrastinating. This is the VCE Single Brush Wall Feeder Systems 2-pack, and I'll leave a link in the description down below, but this is what I'm going to be putting in the wall. Now, what we already did was the gang plate, which is, and these are different colors sometimes they're black, sometimes they're orange, sometimes they're white. You get them in all different colors, but this is basically the thing that pops into the wall, and it's got these little pieces over here to help it stabilize into the wall, and then you drill it in, and Bob's your uncle. In this case, instead of putting a patch panel on like you would see, well, those haven't arrived yet, so those are still coming. Instead of putting a patch panel on there to run your cables through, instead we have, if I can get it open, instead we have a brush panel. And the reason why you use this is so that your wires can run through there and it still looks clean and keeps the dust out and hopefully any bugs as well. So it looks like this goes that way. And then essentially you run your cables through here and then you put your faceplate on top of it, and then that's how it looks when it's done. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to run this through all of the cables so that we can make this look all nice and pretty. Hopefully there's room for all of this. You can tell me in the comments down below if this is stupid and if I should have waited to do this, but otherwise I'm doing it anyway. Every day is a learning opportunity, right? Alright, well I'm going to leave that like that for now because, more importantly to me, is this lovely fiber cable and making sure that it's actually operational, because if it's not, I'm going to have to get on the phone with Fios. Here we go, moment of truth. Jacket is in. Do we have blinky lights? Okay, it's green. Green is good. All the Ubiquiti gear looks happy, so at this point I'm calling this a success, even if it takes a few more minutes for the Wi-Fi to come online. Okay, solid blue, which means it's broadcasting. Now to find it on my phone. Woohoo! Great success! Yay! Should be faster than that, but I think it's still waking up. I'm really relieved that worked, because quite frankly I was afraid it wouldn't, and that I would have had probably to spend the weekend offline because I'm filming this on a Friday. So, we're online, now to finish tapping the rest of these, now to finish terminating the rest of these, run them into the rack, and then start moving the rest of the things into place. Alright, now directly next to where my desk is going to go, which is over there, we have a new closet. And the reason why we have a new closet is because we had a water heater, and this water heater has just been hanging out forever as an ugly eyesore. Now it's hidden away nicely, especially because it's possible this will end up being on camera. Now, partially for posterity's sake, because I need to know how the hell I ran all of these cables, but also for the fun of showing you how I did it. The cables were running across the room like I mentioned before. So now they come down through the ceiling in this closet, drop down next to the heater, and go behind the wall right over here. And I've got some cables that are going outside through the wall that way, and the rest of the cables, or rather all of the cables, are coming through the wall and popping out by the rack, which is right over there. And then for future's sake, I also ran on the other side of this wall, just for funsies, in case I want to run other network stuff on that side of the wall. 2 jacks over here so I can have both a test network and a primary network. And also, as you probably saw earlier in the video, on the other side of the room, I have running off of the rack in the wall to the other end, which is where my desk is going to go. I've got 4 cables, or 3 cables, 3 or 4 cables. I think it's 3 cables, mostly for funsies, test, normal, and who the hell knows what it's going to be in the future. So, full 10 gig across the board. I just gotta put the right switches in the right place. Obviously the test rack, which is going to power a lot of this room because that's where it powers the studio, as opposed to the rest of the building. That's gonna go up here, and that's got all of the fancy schmancy Ubiquiti 10 gig equipment, as well as the 10 gig Wi-Fi, which we'll plug into there as well. But temporarily for now, while we're doing this recording, I've got it all running off of here, and now I have to terminate the rest of those cables and bring the rest of the network back online so that people will stop yelling at me and asking me, hey, is the Wi-Fi working yet? So, back to that. I should probably eat lunch at some point too. One of my most handy tools is my Leatherman, simply because I've always got a knife, I've always got a pair of scissors, I've always got a screwdriver in my pocket. Sometimes a saw comes in handy, but especially when doing wiring jobs, those are the top 3 for me. The pliers occasionally, yeah. Also the scissors for when you're doing terminations, super helpful. Alright, how many cables do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cables, which are all going to go into the rack. Up until now, I have been using my handy-dandy Klein Tools pass-through terminator. But I saw this, and it is smaller. This is the True Cable model. It's more compact, and I wanted to give it a shot. So I've got some new connectors here. Let's see if I can figure out how to use this thing. Lock, unlock. Okay. Let's grab a cable and hope we get lucky. This looks good. So one of these is for stripping. Cut, ground, strip. So you can see here, cut, ground, strip. So I'm going to put strip in there and then push it down. What you can do is you can lock it closed, and then you can just kind of spin it around a few times and then pull off the piece. Problem with that is that these are direct burial, and it didn't cut the wrapping. Alright, so far the stripping is not faster as far as this goes when you're using direct burials, unfortunately. This cuts through further. I just sent a picture to some of my creator friends showing them the progress that I'm making over here, and you can see the camera in the picture, and yes, of course I'm recording this. As we were, back to it. Not that one, I want this one, I want to do this. I think that probably, and I have to talk to True Cable about this, I don't think this is a good fit for direct burial cables because it doesn't go through the sheath, as compared to this guy, which easily cuts all the way through. Every single time. Sitting here like an idiot, backbreaking when I've got this super nifty, awesome, foldable, you're going to want one when I show you it, chair. Boom, $100. You're welcome. There, isn't that better? Save my legs, my knees, my back, my butt. Anybody know of an easier way to untwist these twisted pairs? Let me know in the comments, because this is annoying, especially when you're doing a lot of them. One of these cables runs the front half of the building, and I can't find which one. Just gotta keep plowing on through. Alright, let's pull up the Ubiquiti Network app, and we can see here that a whole bunch of my devices are lighting up happily, which means that I finally found the one that connects to the front half of the house. So, it's time for a break. Gonna go get some lunch, and then I'll be back to finish this up. Unfortunately, I forgot to record the next part where I finished wrapping up the rack, but it's not fully wrapped up because, as I mentioned earlier, it needs to be completely rebuilt. At this point, I went to go get the carpet that I have for the room here to continue with the sound dampening. I probably should have put that down first because you can see how much of a pain in the ass it is to get the rack on the carpet and then move the carpet into place here, and make sure that we get everything adjusted. So next up is going to be the test rack, getting that all connected to the outdoors and building that, as well as the desk that I'm going to be recording from going forward. So far, so good. Making a lot of progress here. Sorry this is taking so long. And last step is kit approved. Good to go.